believe it, but we have made it to our last week in the book of Acts. We are getting ready to wrap this thing up. Today we are seeing Paul in his last trial, his last defense that he gives for himself. Over the past couple of chapters, we followed him as he gets passed from court to court, facing official after official, defending himself. And nobody can seem to find him guilty, but nobody is ready to set him free either. So he's just been stuck a prisoner for years at this point. And today he finds himself in front of King Agrippa, Herod Agrippa II. The best way I could describe Herod is that he's pretty much sold out to Rome. He's really made his bed with the Roman Empire. He grew up with a Greco-Roman education, and his lifestyle really seems to reflect that he is leaning into the pagan Roman values as opposed to Jewish ones. But he's the king over the Jews. And so Paul gives his defense, and you can see in his account, he basically takes us back to Acts 9, when Luke told us about what happened to Paul on the road to Damascus, but this time we get to hear it from his own mouth, in his own words, what happened to him. And I think you'll be able to see that this is a very Jewish retelling. He makes a lot of references to the Old Testament in here. But he tells Herod Agrippa about how he was raised. He became a Pharisee. He started persecuting Christians. And he says this, on the road to Damascus at midday, O king, I saw on the way a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, that shone around me and those who journeyed with me. And when we had all fallen to the ground, I heard a voice saying to me in the Hebrew language, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. And I said, Who are you, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting, but rise and stand upon your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to appoint you as a servant and witness to those things in which you have seen me, and those in which I will appear to you, delivering you from your people and from the Gentiles, to whom I am sending you, to open their eyes, so that they may turn from darkness to light, from the power of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and a place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. And Paul says, Therefore, O King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to this heavenly vision. And he does what Jesus says. In my first video for the book of Acts, back when we were talking about Pentecost, I told you how obsessed I am with connections between the Old Testament and the New. And I think that this passage, like Pentecost, is chock full of hyperlinks, taking us back to the prophets. I think there's at least 4 prophets that Paul is probably referencing in his own account of what happened to him. But 2 really stand out to me, and the first one is Jonah. Why Jonah? Jonah was the disobedient prophet. The prophet who didn't want to follow God's instructions. God said to him, You're going to Nineveh, I'm sending you to the Gentiles. And he said, No, thank you. I actually would prefer to go the opposite way. In Jewish literature and writings, Jonah would actually be referred to as the prophet who kicked against the goads. Sound familiar? Kicked against the goads. What's a goad? It's like a cattle prod, a stick or a staff that they would use to herd cattle and direct them in the direction that they wanted them to go. Second, I think he's referencing Ezekiel. Ezekiel, when he gets called by God in Ezekiel chapter 2, he describes seeing this figure, and surrounding this figure is blindingly bright light. And he falls to the ground, falls on his face, just like Paul, and God says to him, too, stand up, get on your feet, I'm sending you. So I think there's some mirroring happening here. And why does this matter? Because I think that Paul here is portraying what happened to him on the road of Damascus. I think that the way he sees what happened to him that day as his call from God to go be a prophet. It was his commissioning as a prophet. And I think Agrippa might catch on to this, but either way, Paul kind of ends up backing him into a corner, saying, well, I have shown you that Jesus is the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophets, and you believe in them, don't you, Agrippa? Agrippa doesn't want to reject that, because then he's going to get in trouble with his Jewish citizens that he's supposed to be ruling over, but he also doesn't want to agree with Paul. But it's like Paul is poking at him saying, you believe in the prophets, so then you believe in the resurrection, and you should believe in Jesus. And I think that I'm a prophet. God called me as a prophet, and do you believe me? But Agrippa's kind of snarky. He says, what? Are you trying to make me a Christian in an hour, Paul? That's his way of evading the question. But Paul, he comes right back and says, actually, yes. Yes, I am trying to make you a Christian. I love what he says. This is what I am walking away with today. This is what he says to Agrippa. Short time or long, no matter how long I'm talking to you for, I pray to God that not only you, but also all who hear me this day might become such as I am, except for these chains. He says, actually, yes, I pray that everybody who's hearing my voice right now would become exactly as I am, except I hope you won't be a prisoner like me. I think my takeaway today, and what I hope that you will reflect on too, is that Paul used to be kicking against the goads. He was pushing back against where God was directing him. But God stopped him in his tracks, set him on the right course, and now he has found the life that is truly life, to the point where he can say, I want everybody I meet to have what I have, because I have found the life that is truly life. And is that true of us? Are there areas in our lives where we are kicking against the goads, where we, even if we love God and are faithful to God, so did Paul. It's possible to love God and also push back against his direction. Are you kicking against the goads? And is it time to stop kicking, let God set you on the right course, and set you on the path towards the life that is truly life? So that you, like Paul, can say to everybody around you, I want you to have exactly what I have, because I have life that is truly life. Friends, this has been a great journey, and I will see you soon.